This is going to be going over the optimal tuning for the Best in Slot Rift team, which is Robin, Hazel, Mercedes, and Carrot. At least it's Best in Slot until RC 15, because once you hit RC 15, Robin just solos with like no issues at all. But if you want to save a bit of energy before RC 15, depending on how good your gear is, you'll be able to save more energy. Then this is going to cover the best possible speed tunings for this team composition. First off, thanks to Cookie for being the one who did all of the testing for this team pretty much. He's the one who found all the speed tunings and showed them to me, so big thanks to him for that. For your controllers, it's just going to be the same usual ones. Ranger S2, the left one here, though this doesn't really do anything, it's just these two are completely useless for us. And then once you hit RC15, you're soloing anyway, so it doesn't matter, it's just pick up the left ones. Also, once your control level increases more, your damage is going to go up a lot because your burn and bleed damage is going to jump a pretty significant amount. So this team is really tight on the speed tuning. You pretty much want to be exactly these speeds if you can. If you are changing any of the unit speeds, you'll probably need to change everyone else's speeds too. So like I said, this is just to save some energy before RC15. I would definitely prioritize hitting the right speed requirements first before looking at other things like having enough damage. We can take a look at everyone's stats and then I'll show the run and talk about which things are happening at the right times with the speed tunings. Let's start off with Mascot Hazel. For Mascot Hazel, you want her 174 speed. After that, it's just a bit of bulk and nothing else really matters. If you want to use it for other content, then you can give her actual stats, like 200 FRES I like having for Vera. And if you find yourself needing more healing, her healing actually scales based off of her attack, caster's attack. So if you find yourself needing more healing, you could give her some attack if you really want to. Besides that, I've got Warhorn on here, 10% attack to everybody. It's going to boost everybody's damage by a little bit. It's also worth mentioning that in her skill tree, she gives 10% effectiveness to all fire allies, which we're going to want to keep in mind when we're gearing everybody else. Next up, let's take a look at Carrot. Carrot, in her skill tree, got 5% effectiveness to all allies, so this combined with Hazel is 15% total. Plus, for her artifact, I'm using Super Duper Water Shooter. 5% attack to all allies, plus 10% effectiveness, so that's 25% free effectiveness to everybody. Your alternatives for this is literally just any attack boosting artifact, really. You could give her... where is it? Card of Small Miracles. You'd give her... The Cookie was using Severed Horn Wand, but I don't really feel like leveling this. The damage reduction doesn't really do anything because Carrot already has some, but it's 15% attack to Carrot, which you could use if you want. There's also Frantic Flight, I guess, stacks up to 24%. So those are your options, really. Mission Cloth Gloves. Or you could use something that just, like, I don't know, 10% effectiveness to all allies. Etika Scepter is an option, though the only thing is that introduces a bit of RNG on when you're going to be using skills at certain turns. So if you're looking for more consistency, then you can just use some stat boosting artifact. Her stats though, 145 speed is what you're aiming for. Plus you need 105 effectiveness after all the bonuses. So we've got plus 25%, so we're good. We have, this is 112% effectiveness after all of the bonuses. Enough bulk to not die, which shouldn't be too bad if you have her S2 enhanced for the barrier, plus the damage reduction rune in her skill tree. And then after that, you want the rest of your stats into attack. You can see her gear is pretty scuffed. I don't even have 2 hit sets on her. This is just like random gear, pretty much. This immunity does nothing. So yeah, this is one of the things holding back my damage by a lot. Just not having the proper gear for this, but because this is a temporary team, even if it wasn't a temporary team, and Robin couldn't solo until RC21, which she can solo at 15, so it's even earlier that we stop using this team, I'm not farming attack set. Next up is Mercedes. For Mercedes, you're looking at 190 speed, the rest of her stats going into damage. The bulk I don't think matters too much. I've seen my Mercedes die at RC or at like early on in the run, but she has a revive and she's safe after that because the boss stops doing as much damage after you get past the first section of the run. So it didn't really matter for me. It's just destruction, plus I'm using crit set for the stats. You could also go broken set if that works better for your speed tuning. The artifact I'm using is just her personal one, Magic for Friends. And that's pretty much it. I do have her on her team imprint to give attack to everybody. And then we have Robin. So Robin, you want her 182 speed, and her effectiveness should be 120 after all of the bonuses. So we have 25 bonus. This gives us 134 effectiveness. We're way over that. Rest of her stats can go into attack, and you're going to have some leftover like substat lines, which are just going to be in the bulk. Her artifact, Dux Noctis, is going to be the best at slot 1. This is plus 12% and then plus another plus 24% if you have a max limit broken for 36% attack boost. This actually makes it so that the greater attack buff from Hazel S3 flips from Carrot over to Robin after this is fully stacked. Her alternatives is really just any attack boosting artifact you can get. Warhorn's already on Carrot, but really just any attack boosting artifact you have works fine. Like, you could give her Frantic Flight if you really wanted to, too. For her skills, it's just plus 4 this and then plus 3 this. I hit it one extra time by accident. You don't need the fourth one here. It's just plus 3 is going to be good enough. As for the stats, make sure you're following the speed tunings and whatnot. It's really, really tight. But now we can take a look at the run. So starting off the fight, one of the big things is our turn order is a bit different. It goes Mercedes, then Robin, then Hazel now. This is just for some turn orders later on in the fight. We do lose out on greater attack buff for the Robin S2 here, but we'll make up for it later. Now Hazel gives us greater attack buff, but at least we had attack buff from Mercedes S3 for the Robin S2. Now Carrot S3. Funnily enough, you kind of ideally want the boss to 15% the second S2 burn there, so you're not at the debuff cap, but it's fine. We can extend all of the debuffs with Robin S3 now that all the authorities are sealed. I've had Mercedes die on that turn before, the turn right here. But even if she dies, she just revives anyways. And even if she... well, we resisted the attack buff strip, but her next hit's an S1 anyways. Hazel S3 is up, so we get greater attack buff on Robin again. Now Robin uses S2. And then Carrot uses S3. It is a bit unfortunate that Carrot doesn't cut Robin, so Robin S2 doesn't extend the Carrot burns, but this ends up being a damage increase later on in the fight. Also, the boss stripped our attack buffs, but it was after everybody landed their burns, so not a huge deal. Now we detonate the burns real quick. Boss strips our attack buffs again, but Hazel S3 is up, so she just gives them right back, and now we get greater attack buff on Robin again. And we're just barely able to seal the second and third authorities. Carrot S3, Robin S2. We've landed all of our burns. And here is where that carrot being slower than Robin thing works out in our favor. Now Robin gets the S3 and extend all of the burns right before carrot detonates them. Finishing off the run is just our last bits of damage. We managed to do about 89% almost of the boss's HP in a single run at RC7. This was a pretty good RNG run though. I think my damage probably varies a bit between like 10% to 20%, somewhere in that range for the boss's HP remaining. But this is really nice damage for only being RC7. If I had better gear, I probably could just one-shot now. I don't have attack sets and I never will have attack sets. It is what it is. That's one thing, just having better gear, and also as my RC increases, damage is going to ramp up pretty fast. So I should be able to one-shot before RC15, though like I mentioned, at RC15, it becomes really trivial to one-shot with Robin solo. So this is just a temporary min-max thing, but if you did want to try this out, then go ahead. You can follow the stats. It's pretty tight, but it does boost your damage by a pretty considerable amount. Here is, just for reference, Cookie's units. I'm not going to show as Hazel because it doesn't really matter, but this is Robin. You can see it's got a bit more attack than mine. And now here is his carrot. This carrot is also like 600 attack, I think, over mine. He's also using the artifact that boosts her personal damage. I'm using Super Duper Water Shooter, which not sure exactly how the damage split is. This is 15%. Water Shooter is 5% to Carrot, Mercedes, and Robin. I figure Mercedes is doing the least damage, but anyways, he also has like actual proper attack set and everything. And here is his Mercedes, also roughly like I think 400 attack over mine. So those are just the stats that he was using for reference for what you would need to one-shot at RC8, I guess. Overkill at RC9, probably one-shot at RC8. That's it for this video. Like I said, this is just maximizing this team's damage potential until we hit RC15 to save a bit of energy. It's very tight on the speed tuning, like I said. Thankfully, Cookie already found the speeds that we need for us. And I'll see you guys next time for the Robin solo.